Thank you all for being here for our next installment. We only have, this is our third to final installment of the fall semester of our virtual internships. We have just 2 more until the new year. So thank you all for joining us. I'm Danny Rubin. I'm the founder of our company. We're called Rubin. We provide online curriculum for business communication skills. Any teachers in here, raise your hand if your students ever send you emails that look like text messages. Any emails like texts in your world? So a large part of what we do is to help students write and speak professionally so they can go after opportunities for college and career. And we're going to learn many of those skills through a conversation today with our special guest, Dr. Alyson Yaary, who is a veterinarian at Animal Medical Center in Virginia Beach. And we're grateful for her time on her lunch break from a busy day. And we also, of course, my colleague Mac Dowd is here, our training and implementation specialist. So what we'll do first, those who are new and returning, we always have some resources to pass out. If you don't have these yet, listen up and I'll show you what we have and how you can get it. So let me first share my screen, and Mac, you can, he knows, you can hang out in the chat. And those who don't have this yet, if you're new to our community, if you're new to the Rubin webinars, raise your hand. Are you new to us? We're really glad to have you. And so the first thing we want to pass out to the teachers is a library, a Google Drive library of activities for life skills. Free library of life skills. How to shake hands, how to hold a face-to-face conversation, how to take a headshot, how to sign your name in cursive. Teachers, raise your hand if you think students should know how to sign their own name before they graduate. How to email your teacher about a poor grade properly in a nice way, and how to respect other people's opinions, how to listen to people and appreciate their point of view. If you don't have these resources yet and you'd like them, I will tell you in just a second how we give them out. We also always give out a checklist for online presentations, a step-by-step guide to speak well, present well, that you can put up in the classroom or post into a resource area. So if teachers, if you'd like these resources and you don't have them yet, here's how we do it. Please go to the chat, type the word interested and your email address. Interested and your email address. Some of you have seen us do this before, but if you're new to us, this is how we can give it out in a very hectic environment in a webinar like this. And what we like to do for the new folks, new to our community, is to talk to you just for a few minutes later this week to learn about your program, pass these resources on to you so you can give them out not just to your students, but also to your department, to your CTE program. Spread these around the building. They're free to use, and we want to push these exercises into the classroom. So if you're new to us, look out for an invitation to a conversation in the next day or so, and then we'll pass it along through just a quick chat. So thanks to those putting their information. We'll circle back on this before we're done today, but I wanted to mention it right up front. Okay, you can keep going in the chat, but I'm going to move on to the next slide to get us to our special guest. Like I said, we have 2 more sessions for virtual internships. The next one's going to be on November 30th after Thanksgiving, the world of digital marketing. We're talking to actually 2 people, but one of our guests is Mark Cohen, Vice President of Global Marketing for Pyramid Consulting in Atlanta. One of his clients is UPS, so big time marketing. We'll also talk to a social media marketing expert from South Africa. So interesting couple of guests all about marketing and digital marketing and what does the future hold for the profession. And finally, couple last things. If you're watching this on a recording, many of you do, you show this in the classroom after the fact, you can also have these worksheets. Just email us at support@rubineducation.com with the subject line, Rubin Life Skill Worksheets, and we'll get it to you that way. And finally, everybody today will receive a certificate for being here, and we will send that certificate out tomorrow morning. So look in your emails for the certificate for being here today. It's coming to you on, what's today, Wednesday? Or tomorrow, today's Tuesday, it'll come to you on Wednesday, okay? One last thing to mention, and then we'll bring in our guest. I always want, for those who are new, to help you understand this Rubin company that hit your inbox, how'd you get this email? your director passed it on to you, it got to you one way or another. So we provide an online curriculum for business communication skills, and we cover a wide variety of topics. Just to hit them quickly: email etiquette lessons and life skill lessons, phone and video etiquette skills, how to speak on the phone, networking practice, resumes and cover letters, internship and job outreach emails, LinkedIn profiles, job interview preparation. We also do entrepreneurship communication skills with the topics you see here, learning how to write and promote a business. And we cover leadership skills, managerial writing, client communication, project management communication, public speaking, report writing, student leadership communication skills, a big library that integrates to your learning management system for single sign-on. Just a quick question as we bring in our guest: is anybody here an advisor to a student organization? Can you please put your student organization in the chat? A CTSO, a student council. What do you oversee in your school? Probably some Future Farmers of America, Skills USA, a lot of FFA, HOSA, medical, student organization, 4-H. Great. So hopefully you'll learn some lessons today that you can also pass along to your students in your club. And with that, let me bring in our guest and her very patient dog, Dr. Alyson Yaary. So thank you very much for joining us. Give us your quick background, how your training, and when you started in this job. Just kind of bring us up to today.
Sure. So yeah, I'm Alyson Yaary. I grew up in Norfolk, Virginia. Went to elementary, middle school, and high school there. Then I went to the University of Maryland in College Park for my undergraduate degree, which I chose because they have a animal science program and they have a farm on campus, and they have a lot of great opportunities for people who want to get into the veterinary world. After University of Maryland, I went to the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia for veterinary school and was there for 4 years. After that, I moved to Washington, D.C., where I did a year-long internship, which kind of helps you transition from being in vet school to kind of being in the real world. And then I stayed in Washington, D.C. for the next 5 years and just moved back to Virginia Beach at my current job, which is Animal Medical Center, at the beginning of this year.
Thank you very much. So give us a kind of a day in the life. You're in the job right now. You're at work. What does a day look like for you?
Yeah, so a normal day, we're lucky we start at about 9, so not too early. We do go later in the evening though, till about 6. But what we do is we have pretty much 2 blocks, a morning block and then an afternoon block with a lunch break in the middle. And all the blocks are filled up with appointments that vary from wellness, where you just get, like a puppy visit, or a wellness for an older dog where they get vaccines. But then we also see appointments for those pets that are sick, if they have, an ear infection, if they have, diarrhea, or, if they're feeling unwell in any way. And so we, see all the appointments during the day. People will call in though, if their pets get sick day of, and a lot of times we work them in too, just to make sure all the pets are staying happy and healthy. At the clinic here, we treat mostly just dogs and cats. One of the doctors here is comfortable seeing rabbits and other rodents and things like that, but we mostly are dogs and cats. But there are other veterinarians that will see birds, and they'll see reptiles, and they'll see ferrets and all sorts of other pets that you may have. And then we do also have one doctor each day that does surgery. So, spaying and neutering, bladder stones, removing growths, things like that.
Thank you very much for that. What I want to do now, and I do this at the start of all of our sessions, for those of you who have been here before, what do I always do with the guest? It's an R word to show I did my blank before every conversation. Anybody know that word that I reference and that I always do? Thank you, Audra. Research. We always do our research. Why? Why do we do our research? Can someone tell me why we research the company or the person we're going to be meeting with, like for an interview? Why do we do that? And as you answer that, I'm going to pull up my screen and show you that I did a little research. Before the webinar today, I went on Animal Medical Center's website, And I was looking around at their services, and one that, to get familiar with what they do, and one that caught my eye was this microchipping. And I have some knowledge of it, but I was like, oh, tell me more about that. I'm interested to learn more about your microchipping services. Like, what does that mean? What happens to the animal once they're chipped? So let me ask Dr. Yaary that question. What is this process all about? What's the point of it?
Yeah, so we microchip pretty much, we offer it to every pet, and I'd say most people do end up microchipping their pets. And so what we do is we insert a little chip kind of right in the back, and I think Rosie probably has one. But what the point is if your dog or your cat ever runs away on accident or gets lost, pretty much every veterinarian, all of the local shelters, they'll have a special wand that can read the chip underneath the fur. And then what you do is you go online and you look up the chip number, and then the chip number is registered to whoever, owns the pet. So it'll tell their first name, their last name, their phone number, their address. And so it's really a way of, reuniting a dog or a cat if it gets lost or runs away with their owner pretty easily. So it's definitely a big thing. And we usually recommend it for all of our patients. And so definitely we've found a lot of lost dogs, and we, luckily when they're microchipped, we pretty easily can reunite them with their owners.
Wonderful. Thank you for explaining that. And imagine I'm somebody coming in to maybe work at for your team or to shadow you for the summer. What does it say to you that if I came in and already had learned about you and the website and your services, would that make you take me more seriously if I already did my homework?
Yeah, no, it's definitely always good, if you go in prepared, knowing what to expect. If you bring up things that we do here, obviously it just shows interest in kind of that you actually want to be interested in the job and what we do, because every office is a little bit different. So especially if you find, one or two things that, the office that you want to work at specifically does, it definitely makes you seem more interested, a better candidate.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. As we continue the discussion, please go to the Q&A area now. I meant to say it sooner. Please go to the Q&A in the bottom row in Zoom. Start putting your questions for Dr. Yaary about being a vet and the work she's doing, or how she got started and how you can get started. Put your questions in the Q&A now, and we'll be plucking them out in a few minutes. I did want to follow up. Victoria said, we do our research to have background for questions we want to ask. That's exactly right. Thank you for that. And also Sarah said, when the screen is shared, we can't see the interpreter. I don't think we're going to do that much more screen share until the very end. But I believe if you're able to pin Ms. Caldwell, she will stay when we do share the screen. If that's not working, let us know. But hopefully you can pin her and she will stay. So let's see. Well, tell me, the dog's gone. I wanted to ask you about the dog. Is the dog still there, or did the dog run off?
Oh yeah, she's still here.
Okay, tell us about the dog you're holding. A little.
Let me
I don't know how
back.
much background you know about that dog. As we get some questions, and please do not put the questions in the chat. Put them in the Q&A, because we lose them in the chat. So put your questions in Q&A and tell us about the dog. Who you got?
This is Rosie. She's actually our practice manager's dog. So she's Rosie, you want to look at everybody? She's a cute Chihuahua mix. So she was a rescue, so we don't 100% know what breed she is, but just based on how she looks, we think that she's a Chihuahua and maybe some other stuff in there. And she's a good, happy, healthy girl, no issues or concerns with her. So just hanging out with us for the day.
We love that she's here. Thank you, Rosie, for your time. Also, I know you have a very busy day. We appreciate you taking time out with us. So we have a couple questions. Actually, one question. Several of them are asking that it's kind of similar. So Emily Cummings has this question, and Kelly Bryant asked this question. Similar questions. What made you want to become a vet? Why'd you do it?
Yeah, definitely. So I've loved mostly dogs. Growing up were my number one animal. I always wanted a dog, and when I finally got a dog in first grade, I just loved spending time with her. If any of my friends ever had pets, I always loved spending time with them. My dad was allergic to cats, so I didn't have as much exposure to them unless I went to friends' houses. But I always just have had a love for animals, and a lot of my family members are in the medical profession. My dad and his two brothers are both doctors. And so I kind of took a little bit of what I knew from them and applied it to what I loved, animals. And so it's worked out really well.
Thank you for that. A good question here from Robert Pashkin. Thank you, Robert. What's the toughest part of your schooling? What was the toughest part of the schooling or the training like to get here? What were some of the hardest steps along the way?
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of time. It's the 4 years of college and then 4 years of vet school. And vet school is definitely pretty time consuming. It's like having a full-time job. You're in class from 9 to 5. And then when you get home, you have to, study for tests and do all your other kind of preparation work. And so it's definitely pretty time consuming. And again, it is a lot of, science classes and things like that. So it's not always the easiest material, but I'd say probably, the time, you really do have to put the time and the effort in. But, along the way, it's also fun, especially in the veterinary profession. You get to, work with dogs and cats and other cute animals. So you get a little bit of that in there thrown in too.
So we talk a lot in our sessions about listening skills and listening for numbers a lot. We talk about the power of our own numbers, of quantifying what we've done. She said she had 4 years of undergraduate education and how many years of vet school too? How many years did she say?
Sorry.
How many years did she spend in vet school after her undergraduate school? Can someone tell me in the chat? Thank you, Deanna. 4, so 8 years of school. That's no joke, right? That's a long time. And a lot of science. What were some of the science courses that you took that you would you recommend some students start taking or exploring those classes in high school? What are some of the themes and subjects?
Yeah, so definitely in college, you have to take all pretty much the core sciences, chemistry, biology, physics, organic chemistry. So definitely making sure, you have the science and math background, in high school to be able to, go on and complete those classes and, in a timely manner is definitely useful. And then, after college and into vet school, obviously the prerequisites that you take in college will prepare you for the, the classes that you'll take in vet school as well. And so, but yeah, definitely, again, all the basic sciences are pretty important.
Thank you. We have a question from Ms. Trenna Jackson, I believe, Henrico, Virginia, if I'm not mistaken. How can a student with disabilities obtain a job in animal sciences? Is it possible for any student to work in this field?
Yeah, so that's what's great really about the animal field is that, everyone always thinks veterinarian when they think about, animal sciences, but there's definitely a ton of other jobs that involve working with animals. I've seen someone said they wanted to be a zoologist. So again, that is working with animals, but just a different type. But then you never think about too, in labs where they have animals, those animals need to be taken care of, not even just being a veterinarian for the animals, but being like a zookeeper or, a nurse for animals. And so, being a veterinarian is really great. And it's one that we always think of a lot in the animal science department, but there are many other jobs besides veterinarian where you still get to, work with animals and use knowledge from the sciences as well.
I think that's important to know and to hear you say. We have a good question from Madison Gardner. What's the hardest thing about being a vet? And let me add on to that, because we've spoken, you and I, before about how sometimes veterinarians are so compassionate that they sort of wear it on their sleeve. They wear it in the job. It can affect you emotionally to be so connected and want to help all the animals. So is that the hardest thing, is sort of managing your emotions in the job?
Yeah, it's definitely hard. I mean, it starts with the fact that, the dogs and cats can't talk. So trying to even figure out what's wrong with them sometimes can be a challenge, just because, you have to do a good exam and you have to rely on their owner's history. But then obviously the majority of us, get into this work because we love animals so much. And so then, when they get sick or when they get hurt, it's, it is hard because, you sometimes do have to, see the pets in a hard place to be in, and you have to be able to, comfort their owners and try to get them feeling better. And so, it can definitely be hard seeing all of our, friends in pain and in suffering. But the good news is that a lot of times we can, help treat them and get them feeling better. And so I'd say, that's definitely hard, is, the fact that they can't really talk to us. We have to figure out, what's wrong with them, and then, hope that we can give them the, the medication or anything that they need to get them feeling better and back with their families.
That actually goes into the next question I was going to ask you from Marcella Caminos. She said, what's the hardest part about dealing with distressed animals? Is it back to what you said, that they can't tell you what's wrong? So you have to what is your process when an animal comes in clearly in pain or discomfort? What is the process to investigate and locate the problem? What do you do?
Yeah, so definitely an important part. So for any pet owners out there, is the owners. So getting a history from them. What happened before? Did they fall off the couch? Did they get hit by a car? Have they been vomiting? Did they eat something they weren't supposed to? So that's definitely kind of the first part of every visit, is to say, what's been going on at home? What has the owner noticed? And then the second part is doing an exam. And so, we do a full exam on all of our patients. We take their vitals, get their temperature, their heart rate, their respiratory rate, and then we actually put our hands on every animal for their exam. We look in their mouth, we feel their lymph nodes, we feel their stomachs, we make sure they don't have a rash. And so that's kind of what we do in terms of trying to figure out initially what's wrong. And then from there, we can do, x-rays and blood work, and other kind of additional workup tools to kind of aid us in helping to figure out what's wrong.
Thank you very much. We've had a few different questions related to sort of getting your foot in the door, getting started. If a student is interested in, what are the opportunities for students, high school, college? Can you shadow a vet? Can you intern? Can you get a summer job that's paid? Like, what's available even in your office for students who haven't even gone to school yet, but they want to explore it? What's available?
Yeah, so definitely where I started, and it's probably available at most clinics in your area, definitely shadowing doctors. Usually don't get paid for that, but most of them are happy to have you, follow them around, see what happens on a day-to-day basis. A lot of times too, you can kind of be hired as one of the kennel workers, so not one of the more glorious jobs, but again, where I'd say most of veterinarians kind of start their career is, helping keep the kennels where the dogs and the cats, stay when they're here, keep them clean, make sure they're fed, helping do the easy stuff, nail trims, baths, things like that. And so I'd say that's, most of the time where people start. But then also a lot of people will go to places like the SPCA or other shelters. Those places, they always need volunteers to help. Again, usually it's feed the dogs, take them on walks, bring them in and out, make sure stuff stays clean. So I'd say those are probably, especially for dogs and cats, kind of the top stuff. And then, from there, again, I know we had talked about zoo and things like that, but they usually do also have summer programs, sometimes for high schoolers, sometimes for college age kids, where you can, work, again, as like a keeper's aide, or in other parts of kind of, if you have a local aviary or aquarium where they have, programs for high school and college students to get involved.
Nice. So let's go back to our listening skills. She said two different jobs that I heard that both start with the letter K. Did anybody catch either of those jobs? What jobs did she say you could do now before you have all the schooling to even see if you like it? There are two different titles with K. Did anybody catch those? There we go. Kennel keeper and keeper's aide and kennel workers. We got it right. They're in there somewhere. Exactly. Just learning and getting experience. So this is why we talk in our webinars about communication skills, because if you want to be a keeper's aide working in the kennels, well, how do you get there? How do these students even make them you aware of them? They probably have to call, right, and ask, or walk in, right? So
Yep.
What are you looking for when they call you or they walk in? Are you looking for confidence in their voice, eye contact with you? Like, what do you want to see from a young person who wants to work for you over a school break or in the summer? What are you looking for?
Yeah, definitely, making sure, you reach out, whether it be in person, by phone, by email, obviously having as professional of an appearance and a demeanor as possible. Again, if you're on the phone or via email, obviously a professional conversation or a professional email always helps. And then, just letting us know why you want to do it. Is it because, you want to be a veterinarian, or is it because you just want to learn more about the job, or, you want to be somewhere in the animal field, but always, knowing, why you want to do it and what motivates you to come be with us definitely helps.
Thank you very much for saying that. Couple of interesting questions here. They're sort of a piggyback. Here's the first one. Tamara Red says, is it okay to start off going to a community college to eventually become a veterinarian? Is that a possible path, Dr. Yaary?
Yeah, I'd say definitely. Especially I know in Virginia, a lot of the community colleges have programs with the longer 4-year universities that if you do well at the community colleges, you get to transfer over, to the larger 4-year schools. And so, if you need, some community college time, either to improve your grades or, to also have a job and make some money to then,
save
help
money.
you along the way, it's definitely possible.
And the second part of that, give us a kind of a quick landscape of the veterinary schools that are most popular, because I feel like there are certain schools that have reputation for having strong, like in our state, Virginia Tech has a well-known veterinary program. When you were starting to look at going to undergrad or your sort of doctoral work for veterinary medicine, what are some of the schools, even across the country, that are sort of like the big ones that we should know?
Yeah, so veterinary school is hard because there's not even one veterinary school per state. So some states like New Jersey, there's not even a veterinary school in there. So the veterinary schools are pretty limited in terms of the number that there are in the country. And so, again, I'd say most of the states have one, but not all of them. And so then, to help you decide about where to go to college, what do? If your state doesn't have a veterinary school, that's okay, because just like me, I went to the University of Maryland. The state of Maryland does not have a veterinary school directly. It partners with the Virginia Tech school, which is obviously in Virginia. And so usually any school that will have, an animal science program or an animal science major or some sort of animal related major is always a good place to start. The other thing that you can ask when you're going to college during, orientation times, things like that is, even if there's not a specific animal science program, you can usually ask kind of in the medical advising, how many of your students go to veterinary school? And if they say, 0, then it's probably, a school you have to think twice about. If they say, oh, we have, kids apply every year to veterinary school and we have, X number get in, then that's probably a good sign in terms of you'll be able to get the right classes in and the right opportunities at that school in order to then get into veterinary school, which again is a little bit tougher because there's usually only, one per state, if that.
Thank you for that overview. And we have some helpful suggestions in the chat too. UC Davis as a vet school, NC State and North Carolina, Texas A&M, Georgia, CSU, Cornell, as you said, Penn, where you went, Iowa State. So there are programs, but like she said, they're not everywhere. So, or at least the ones that are, well regarded and competitive. So you'll have to do some homework at the right time. Question, I'm going to modify a question from Lily Mumford. Thank you, Lily, for your question. She asked about what level of patient contact do you have? What portion is with people? And I would add to that, as we've discussed this before, people come in, their dog or cat, their pet is sick, hurting, and they are stressed. And they're going to bring that anxiety right into, like, they're just coming off the street, like right into your world, and they're already worked up. So how have you learned to manage the human patients basically that you deal with separate from the animals? What's your strategy there?
Yeah, because I would say it's definitely about 50-50 in terms of animal care and owner care. Obviously, we want to get the pet feeling better. We do our exam, but, we can't really do anything unless we explain everything that we, can figure out about what's going on with the pet and what our plan is to treat them. And so it's definitely, I would say, 50-50 in terms of, obviously we're focused on the animals, but the owners are the ones in charge, and we have to, tell them what's wrong so they know what to do, how best to treat them. They trust us in terms of, running the right tests and putting them on the right medications. And so it definitely does take time, but I think usually it kind of also comes with time. You learn how to kind of take their stress and anxiety and let them know, okay, we see this a lot, or, there's a treatment for this issue, or, hey, we don't 100% know what's going on, but we're going to figure it out. So you definitely learn those tips and tricks just kind of by working, but also the more illnesses that you see, the more familiar you get with them. So while they may, be worrisome to an owner, you might say, oh, well, I've seen this issue, many times, so you don't have to worry because we already have a good treatment for that. So it's definitely getting people to trust you, getting them to, letting them know that you've seen similar issues that you've been able to treat, and just kind of earning their trust.
I like that. That's a good approach to tell them, like, we've seen this before, this is very common, and it would put them at more at ease after they came in panicked.
Yeah.
A question from Lizette Cofield. Do you get attached to animals, especially animals who pass away or need to be put down? How do you manage that type? Do you try to keep an emotional distance from the animals that you treat?
Yeah, so that's definitely, one of the tricky things, especially because, a lot of the pets we see from the time the owners, get them as puppies and kittens. And so, we've seen them every year for, 12, 13 years, sometimes even more than once a year, if they've had to come in for other things. And so we definitely do form an emotional attachment. And I think that's, part of the job is having that emotional attachment. And so while it is hard sometimes, end of life or when they do get sick, I think it makes us, better doctors to, have involvement and, an emotional involvement in the pets. And a lot of times, when it does get to the end or the sad parts, the other thing that, we take as comfort is that, we're helping them, get through, this time of their life, and that, they don't have to suffer anymore. They don't have to be in pain. So, but yeah, definitely there is always a big emotional connection.
Yeah. I when you say it like, they come in for checkups, not just for emergencies. So it's like any doctor, you see the child or the adult or the animal year over year, and you do gain and also you want relationships with your families who come to you. You want to know them, so they want to use you for 15 years, right? So it's a balance, because you don't want to seem distant and cold, but you also can't get too attached. It's a hard balance. We have a good question here from Joanna Torres. She says, I'm currently a junior in North Carolina. I'm in a vet assisting program. Right now, I'm at the stage where I need to find a vet to intern at. How can I get into a vet, or can I make myself stand out for them to want to pick me to intern or shadow the vet tech? What would you advise Joanna about getting out of the vet assisting program into a real internship?
Yeah. So I would, you can even start with your program. If your program, you can ask them, where have other, people in your program gone to get their, shadowing and internship experiences, because a lot of programs will actually have good connections with local veterinarians where they know that they'll take interns and that they're open to having interns. So it's always, if you're already in a program, a good place to start by, asking the people that are involved and run the program, where have other students gone, where have other people in this program gone? And then the other thing you can do, like, Danny said, you can do research. So if you go online, or if you know that there are, 3 veterinary clinics in your area, reach out to them, let them know you're in a program, let them know what your goals are, let them know that you need internship time, and ask them, would it be okay if I came and did my internship there? And so again, making sure you research the place, that it's a place that you think would, work well for you. And then also seem, being very professional when you talk to them, letting them know why you want to be there, what your goals are. And again, I'd say most offices usually have some sort of capacity to do some sort of at least shadowing or anything like that.
Thank you. I think that was a really good question from Ms. Torres. Just really focused. She's like in the career path, and so I know she benefits from that answer. We're going to take a quick pause in the conversation. Dr. Yaary, stay right there. I'm going to share my screen, and hopefully those who need our sign language interpreter, please try to pin her. We're going to look at a quick writing exercise, which if you visited it with us many weeks, months ago, we did this one before. I pulled up a Word document, and this is an email. And I want you to tell me, looking at the part of the email that I have highlighted, tell me what's going on in that message. What do you see as incorrect in the line in highlight, the line that's sort of, you know, bolded? What do you notice? Right, we see a lot of shorthand, abbreviation, and lowercase, right? So what I want you to do, and students, you can do this at your own computer or tell it to your teacher. Please rewrite the line that's highlighted in proper grammar. This is an email in which you would ask to shadow. It's a real email you could actually send to someone like Dr. Yaary. So how would you rewrite in proper grammar with an ending on the sentence? And I won't tell you what goes at the end of a sentence. I want you to show me. Just show me the part that I've highlighted. And remember, at the very end, what do we put at the end of a sentence to show the sentence is over? I'm seeing some good examples here. Just like she said, you know, if there are 10, 20 students who send a message about asking about a shadow or internship opportunity, but one email is clearly better than the rest, there's a good chance that that email is going to be answered first, right? So again, remember to put a period on the end of that sentence. And remember that when you're writing, when you are writing to ask about these real life opportunities, how you write matters. Because even if you're not sending emails or writing as a, you know, working in the kennels, right? It still matters as how you present yourself to someone like Dr. Yaary and her team, right? Dr. Yaary, if you get 20 emails from students at different high schools saying, can I shadow, can I intern? And one email is clearly written better than all the rest. Are you going to go to that email first?
Probably, most likely.
Right. And she doesn't have to know any of the students beyond that. Know their age, their gender, what they look like, their high school, their grades, anything. All she's going on is how that email looks and how it feels to her, right? So that these are real life moments that you could have or not based on how you respond or how you send messages. And I'm sorry, issues with pinning the interpreter, will work on that for future sessions, but we're back now. We are going to share the screen one more time for the teacher resources. So hang with us for that. So thank you for going through that little exercise. Let me share the resources that I offered at the beginning for the teachers. Again, if you missed it, we have a life skill Google Drive folder, shaking hands, holding conversations, taking a headshot, signing your name, emailing a teacher politely about a grade you're unhappy with, learning to respect people's opinions, all in a Google Drive folder, along with an online presentation checklist of how to prepare and how to speak, how to deliver online presentations. If you missed it at the beginning and you would like these resources as an instructor, this is for instructors, go to the chat, type interested and your email address, and we will provide the resources to you that way. And if you're new to the Rubin community and to our content, we like to speak on the phone briefly in the next day. So look out over the course of Wednesday. We'll offer you a time and you can send back a different time if it works better for you. Really quick to pass it along and let you know how to give this out to your entire school if you'd like, or your department. And finally, we will have another session in 2 weeks on the world of digital marketing with a VP of marketing based in Atlanta and a social media pro from South Africa. They will join us in 2 weeks. And also, if you missed our session live and you're watching on a recording, email us to the email in red with Rubin Life Skill Worksheets. We'll get it to you that way. So let me hop out of here. We have a few minutes left. And I want to pull in just a few more questions. We had 62 questions, Dr. Yaary. So I was trying my best to go down the list and get to it. Here's an interesting question from Elise Cronin. Thank you, Elise. Do you ever do home visits? Do you go to them because they just cannot get to you? How does that work?
So we personally don't here, but pretty much most communities will have veterinarians that travel home to home. Definitely, there are some pets that are much more comfortable at home, and so they do, much better with a home visit. And so there usually are some veterinarians that will travel home to home, but I'd say definitely there's only a few of them. Usually most pets have to be, brought into the clinic, but there are usually a few per area that will come to your house if needed.
And do people sometimes travel from long distances to come to you because they don't have a vet near them, or most of your patients from close by?
A majority of our patients here are close by. We're lucky in the, Virginia Beach, Norfolk area. There are a lot of different veterinarians. So most people go to one, in their neighborhood between a 5 and 10-minute drive, which is nice. But obviously, as you move to more rural areas, you do have people who have to, drive further to get to the vet. And then we also do have a lot of people who will live, in Virginia Beach during the winter and Florida during the summer. And so they have vets sometimes, usually in both places.
That makes sense. I mean, they're living somewhere else. You can't run to
Yeah.
you if you're down in Orlando or somewhere like that, or Miami. I know we have some Miami folks
Yep.
today. So as we conclude, what would be your final piece of advice to students? They may be in high school right now. They're looking at you and saying like, well,
Yeah.
she's where I want to be. Would you say the best thing is to just get some hands-on experience now to know if you even like it day to day, or it's more of like you think you like it till you actually do it? Like, what would be your first step if you're want to learn more?
Yeah, definitely, reach out to your family veterinarian or a local veterinarian, spend some time at the clinic, see if you like it. Because again, there are, many different ways of having a job involving, animals. And so, veterinarian is always the one that we think about, but sometimes if you step out the box, there's, other job opportunities as well. So, I'd say trying to, visit a few different places and see what you like the best is usually the best way of starting.
Thank you very much. We had a student who kept asking repeatedly, what is on the painting behind you? So I will just tell you this one, it's a painting of Rodeo Drive, which is that famous like shopping district in Los Angeles. So that's what's on the painting. And the other one just people dancing in a design. So nothing crazy, but if someone's itching to know, that's what's on the painting. I always stand in the same spot for our session. So mystery revealed, I suppose. So I want to thank can we have a show of Zoom hands thanking Dr. Yaary for taking time out of her busy day with Rosie and whomever else she's got coming down the way in the afternoon. Thank you for sharing your career with us and some really good advice about kind of how to get there. Thank you to Ms. Caldwell for your time today and for helping students follow along. I hope you'll join us in a couple of weeks for the digital marketing session. And our final session in mid-December is going to be the world of the military. We'll have a Navy recruiter and probably somebody else from another branch joining us to talk about the military. And then we'll take a break and we'll pick it up again in January. Just a quick poll of teachers. Are there any occupations that you would like to see us cover in the spring? Real quick, as we have another 30 seconds or so, throw an occupation in the chat. Mac is in there. She'll grab it out of there. And we're taking suggestions for occupations for next semester. Ooh, hotel workers. There you go. Cow hoof trimmers. I didn't get there yet. That's a very niche occupation, I think. But maybe for our next veterinary session. Thank you for all the ideas. It's really good. We'll hold on to them as we put together the schedule for January through May. Awesome. Great stuff. And again, keep an eye out for the recording coming out tomorrow. And those of you who've requested the materials, the free resources, you'll be hearing from us very shortly. Thank you again, and have a great week and have a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you again, everybody.